Well, welcome to Thrive. I hope you're having a great evening. If you haven't yet, go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can join us again. I am Angie, the pastor of our Midlothian campus, and we're going to get started tonight with some worship by some of our Midlothian campus worship team.
You broke my chains of sin and shame, and you covered me with grace.
You mend my life with your holy fire. You cover me with grace. You are the hand that reaches out to save. I am set free. Oh, oh, oh. I am set free. Oh, oh, oh. It is for freedom that I am set free.
You broke my chains of sin and shame, and you covered me with grace.
You mend my life with your holy fire. You cover me with grace. You are the hand that reaches out to save. I am set free. Oh, oh, oh. I am set free. Oh, oh, oh. It is for freedom that I am set free. I am set free. Oh, oh, oh. I am set free. Oh, oh, oh. It is for freedom that I am set free.
And yes, Lord, we are grateful for your grace and for your love. And yes, Lord, we are grateful for your grace and for your love.
Yes, Lord, we are grateful for your grace and for your love. Yes, Lord, we are grateful for your grace and for your love. 'Cause you are the hand that reaches out to save. I am set free. Oh, oh, oh. I am set free. Oh, oh, oh. It is for freedom that I am set free. Oh, I am set free. Oh, oh, oh. I am set free. Oh, oh, oh. It is for freedom that I am set free. It is for freedom that I am set free. Daddy was a preacher, and she was his wife. And just trying to make the world a little better, you know, you shine a light. And people started talking just to hear their own voice. And those people tried to accuse my father, say he made the wrong choice. And though it might be painful, you know, the time will always tell. Those people have long since gone, my father never failed. Even when the rain falls, even when the flood starts to rise, even when the storm comes, I am washed by the water. Even when the rain falls, even when the flood starts to rise, even when the storm comes, I am washed by the water. Even when the earth crumbles under my feet, even when the ones I love turn around and crucify me, I won't ever, ever let you down. I won't fall, I won't fall, I won't fall as long as you're around me. Even when the rain falls, even when the flood starts rising, even when the storm comes, I am washed by the water. Even when the rain falls, even when the flood starts rising, even when the storm comes, I am washed by the water. Even when the rain falls, even when the flood starts rising, even when the storm comes, I am washed by the water. Even when the rain falls, even when the flood starts rising, even when the storm comes, I am washed by the water.
Wow, what a great way to kick off our time together this evening. No matter what comes, and a lot has been thrown at us in the last couple of months. No matter what, we are washed by the water and the grace that Jesus offers us. I am so grateful for that, and I am grateful that you have chosen to spend some time with us this evening. Over the last couple of months, our church has taken kind of a three-pronged approach to our programs. Every morning, Monday to Friday, we have daily worship, a short time together where we worship together and focus on a snippet from the Bible. And of course, every Sunday we gather for our hour-long service with extended worship and teaching. The last few months, we've also added this Thursday night option. A little bit of worship, a little bit of conversation, focused really on now how we can not just survive this time in our lives and in our country, but actually thrive during it. We've spent time talking about how we can apply what we've learned about on Sundays in practical ways in our lives. Thank you for joining us on this journey, but as we return to our physical campuses this Sunday, Thrive will come to an end for now. See, we have been online only for the last couple of months, but Sunday, the doors of 4 of our physical campuses reopen again, and we're going to put our energy and our effort back into replicating our PCC experience in multiple communities around Central Virginia. So, what we've been doing here on Thursday nights, this dialogue, this application, further teaching, well, that's going to move from happening here together back onto your plate and become your responsibility to figure out how are you going to thrive. So tonight, for our final Thrive series, I've come up with a couple of ways, 3 actually, that I think you can continue to thrive at home on your own. The first way is to value others. Many of the conversations we have had here and Thrive services have centered around valuing others. We've talked about tension in our home and valuing other people in our lives, saying if it matters to them, it matters to me. We've talked about valuing people as we've done quarantine school, valuing educators trying to figure out a new way to teach, and kids trying to figure out a new way to learn, and parents trying to figure out how to work and be teachers at the same time. We've talked about valuing those around us who are struggling right now, as we talked about the food pantry that we have opened up for this short time period. We've talked about valuing others, valuing every single person, the inherent value that they have as someone made in God's image. Such a relevant conversation in our country right now as we struggle with race and the division that is there. So one way that we can continue to thrive is to continue valuing other people. That reminds me of a verse in the Bible in Philippians 2 that says, "Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves, not looking to your own interest, but each of you to the interest of the others. In humility, value others above yourselves." It's a little bit counterintuitive, but we can thrive if we'll value other people above us. It's not how we think. Usually we think if we're going to thrive, then we have to focus on us. This is actually something we've known for a long time. Like, for example, when we're working with someone who is struggling with depression. Now, when we're struggling with depression, we need a multifaceted approach to that. But just one piece that can be helpful is to do something kind for someone else. So when we're depressed, our world closes in and we stay focused just on our own selves and our own problems. And the more we do that, the more frustrated we get, the more stuck we get. But if we'll reach out, do something kind for someone else, value them, then our world opens up a little again. Our view opens up again. That's a way that we can thrive. Another is to enter conversations. We've tried to model that with Thrive. There have been a few of these series where we've done like I'm doing now, and one person has spoken. But a lot of times we've had conversations with other leaders and volunteers at our church. See, we thrive when we move from just consuming information to conversing about it. We thrive when we move from consuming to conversing. There are certainly appropriate times when we want to consume information. Like at school, we're there to consume information sometimes in a big lecture hall. There's a place for that. At church on Sunday mornings, we're there to consume a message from our pastor. And even on daily worship, we consume what piece of wisdom one of our pastors has gotten out of a chapter of the Bible. That is good and that is important. But it's also good and important to have a place where we can dialogue and have a conversation, where someone can tell us what they think and we get to ask them a follow-up question, where we get to share our own ideas and hear people's reactions to them. That makes us better. That helps us apply content better as well. So, where do you start in entering conversations? That reminds me of this book that's been here on our shelf for the last several weeks. It's called Beginner's Pluck, and it's written by a woman named Liz. I got to hear her talk about this last year. And she told a story about when she was a young woman, like college age, and she was idealistic and she wanted to change the world. I don't know about you, but I related to that. Did you remember being that age and being convinced that you could change the world? Specifically, she wanted to bring 1 million females, women and girls, out of poverty, severe poverty. And then eventually she realized before she could help 1 million, she needed to start with just one. So she set out to make just one friend with a female who was living in abject poverty. And I think that's where real change starts for all of us. Right now, there's some huge problems in our world and in our country. And they can be overwhelming and we don't know where to do, or we want to help, but we don't even know how. And I think it can start with just one conversation. Just one conversation with someone who sees what's happening in our country right now differently from us. Just one conversation with someone of another race, listening for their stories, hearing about their experiences. We've talked some here even about family and tension at home and quarantine school. Sometimes it's just one conversation with someone that we live in the same house with and we pass them all day, every day, but we rarely sit down and have an intentional conversation. I was reminded of that during this quarantine time. Early on, our family had gone on a walk in the park. We were talking and having fun, and my son was talking about something that was really important to him, but I missed it. I dismissed what he said very casually. I didn't take it seriously. And then as weeks went on, he was showing anger and disrespect and defiance, and that's way out of character for him. And I hated where we were, and he was angry, and I was upset, and I was thinking, well, I've got to tackle this. We need more structure. We need more rules. We need more consequences. And then my husband kind of nudged me and said, have you tried talking to him? I was like, well, he doesn't want to talk to me. He's mad at me all the time. But then one night he was outside shooting basketball like he does every night. I went out and started shooting with him. And I said, hey, really seems like you're pretty angry with me these days, and I really hate kind of the way we're relating to each other right now. Have I done something? Have I said something? He's like, oh yeah. Remember we were on that walk, 6 or 8 weeks ago? And I said this, and it was really important to me, and you didn't take it seriously. Just one conversation is all we needed to hit a reset button on our relationship. So much can happen, and we can thrive. Our relationships can thrive if we will enter conversations like that. The third way that I think that we can continue to thrive on our own is to know God. Now, if you've been around PCC for any time, that's not new language. We think for people to really thrive, they have 5 purposes to live out: to know God, to get real, to discover purpose, to make a difference, and to be the change. But it all starts with knowing God, because to know God is to know the one who came to this earth so that you could have life and have it to the full. In other words, so that you could thrive. Now, I get that from the Bible in John 10:10. When I think of the word thrive, this is definitely the verse I think of when Jesus says, I have come that they may have life and have it to the full. So I want to spend a few minutes tonight looking around that verse and see what else we can take away from this passage in John chapter 10 about how we can thrive. Let's look at verses 3-5. It says, the gatekeeper opens the gate for him, and the sheep listen to his voice. He calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. When he has brought out all his own, he goes on ahead of them, and the sheep follow him because they know his voice. But they will never follow a stranger. In fact, they will run away from him because they do not recognize a stranger's voice. We obviously are the sheep in this story, and Jesus is the one who calls us by name, who goes ahead of us. And it says his sheep follow him because they know his voice. If we want to know God, we've got to be able to listen for and to learn to recognize the voice of God, the voice of Jesus. Well, how do we learn his voice? How do we learn anyone's voice? It's through time, right? Those of us who are parents, we can hear our kids say mom or dad and know they're talking to us when they're around a lot of other kids also saying mom and dad because we know their voice. I even know my dog's voice or his barks. See, I've got a dog and he has different barks. One, my dog is an extrovert. I don't know if dogs can be introverts or extroverts, but if they can be, mine's definitely an extrovert. He has one bark that just says, I'm bored and I need to see people. I know that bark. I know that I need to go outside bark. I know that somebody I don't know is getting too close to my family bark. And I know that's the neighbor bark. See, my dogs actually kind of become our neighbor's dog, and they come over to our driveway several times a day to feed him snacks and spoil him rotten. And I know his bark for that. If I know that, then God knows our voices, and we can come to know his if we'll spend that kind of time in worship, listening to how God might be speaking to us through the lyrics of a song that we sing. If we listen for his voice as we pray. How I most often hear God's voice is when I'm reading the Bible on our Bible reading plan, a chapter a day. That's when I most hear God kind of nudging me to pay attention to a verse. That's how he most often speaks to me. Now, of course, verse 5 here said, but the sheep, they don't follow a stranger. In fact, they'll run away from him because they do not recognize a stranger's voice. Jesus says, we don't recognize a stranger's voice, so we won't follow them. And he's Jesus, so I'm sure he is right about that. I hope he is right about that. Because there are so many strange voices out there. Everybody has a voice. And in some ways, that's a really good thing. I've enjoyed finding my voice as I have matured. I hope you are finding or have found your voice. That's a good thing. And I know there were a lot of people around when Jesus was teaching, but now everybody has a voice, and everybody has a platform from which to share their voice with the world on social media, and that there are good things in that. But there are also lots of strangers' voices out there, and some of them can be dangerous. Some of them seek to lead us away from God's voice. We want to be on the lookout for those. One of the reasons it's so important to know God's voice so that we can recognize the voices that are trying to lead us astray. Now, of course, many of the voices that are out there that are strange are not dangerous. There are lots of good, helpful voices out there, people that we trust, that we learn from. Like, I love our teaching team here at church. We have several voices that help me, that help us understand and connect with God better. That is good. But even so, voices like mine are not the same as the voice of God. I hope you find value in the voices of the people that you trust as your leaders and your teachers, but nothing compares to listening to the voice of God himself. It's so important for us to learn to recognize that voice. This passage goes on to say, Jesus says again, very truly I tell you, I am the gate for the sheep. All who have come before me are thieves and robbers. The sheep have not listened to them. I am the gate. Whoever enters through me will be saved. They will come in and go out and find pasture. The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I have come that they may have life and have it to the full. Jesus has come that we may have life and have it to the full. He comes to open the gate for us so that we can go out to the pasture. When I hear that, when I hear about going out to the pasture, I think about going out to a place where we can be free, where we can eat till we are full, where we can lie down and rest. That's what Jesus offers us. But of course, there are others out there. Jesus mentions thieves and robbers who come to steal and kill and destroy. Right now in our world, it feels like there are so many thieves. There are viruses and diseases that kill. There's violence that destroys. There are so many hateful words that kill spirits and dreams and hopes. And there are robbers that take lots of different shapes and faces. There's so many things out there that are trying to take away our peace and just get us immersed in conflict, trying to take away our love for one another, the grace that we want to extend one another, and hope of better days ahead. Those are all strange voices trying to lead us astray, but Jesus is there opening the gate for us, inviting us to the pasture where we're provided for, where we can rest, where we can be free. Because Jesus says, I have come that you may have life and have it to the full. Jesus has come so that you may thrive.
Jesus at the center of it all. Jesus at the center of it all. From beginning to the end, it will always be, it's always been you, Jesus. Jesus. Jesus at the center of it all. Jesus at the center of it all. From beginning to the end, it will always be, it's always been you, Jesus. Oh, Jesus, and nothing else matters. And nothing in this world will do. And Jesus, you're the center. Everything revolves around you. Jesus, you at the center of it all. Jesus at the center of it all. Jesus at the center of it all. From beginning to the end, it has always been you, Jesus. Oh, Jesus, and nothing else matters. Nothing in this world will do. And Jesus, you're the center. Everything revolves around you. And Jesus, you, and nothing else matters. Nothing in this world will do. And Jesus, you're the center. Everything revolves around you. And Jesus, you at the center of it all. From my heart to the heavens, Jesus be the center. It's all about you. It's all about you. From my heart to the heavens, Jesus be the center. It's all about you. It's all about you. From my heart to the heavens, Jesus be the center. It's all about you. Yes, it's all about you. From my heart to the heavens, Jesus be the center. It's all about you. Yes, it is. It's all about you. It's all about you. It's all about you. And Jesus be the center of my life. And Jesus be the center of my life. From beginning to the end, it will always be, it's always been you, Jesus. Oh, Jesus, at the center of it all.
Thank you for joining us. As we wrap up Thrive, I would like to pray a blessing over you. May you go to the one who is the way, the truth, and the life, and have the courage to follow his lead. May your focus be on life and the author of it, not on death and the causes of it. May you hear the still, small voice of God amid the clamoring of our culture. May you thrive with overflowing, abundant life, life to the full. May God's goodness and mercy follow you all the days of your life until you dwell in his house forever. Amen. We hope to see you Sunday online at pccwire.net or at one of our physical campuses that is opening. If you hope to join us there, don't forget to reserve your spot. Take care, and we'll see you Sunday.